around and talking to all the different groups in Houston and Dallas and all, have you been able to get a sense or a feeling of the, I guess, emotional state of your Texas A&M fan base?
Yeah, I think people are excited. I think, people have been passionate about Texas A&M football for a really long time. I think they want to see us have an extremely successful program. I think maybe in the last 5 months we've done a good job of instilling confidence back into them, and certainly when you spend time out with them, I think everybody's excited and looking forward to a great fall.
Mike, there's obviously some uncertainty, which is why you're here at these meetings to discuss. I'm just wondering what the last month has been like recruiting a 2025 class when the rules of engagement are still ambiguous.
Yeah, I don't know until they officially change things. It's hard to do a lot with it. You just have this swirling unknown, and I think everybody's aware that by the time the 2025 class gets to campus, the landscape's going to look different. But until you have any idea what that different actually means, it's hard to have much conversation. And I don't think it really is coming up a lot from the kids, to be honest with you. I don't know that anybody has a clear picture or even an idea of what's coming on the horizon. And so I think from this perspective, it's been pretty quiet.
With the talk of potentially 85 scholarship and capping at 85, kind of your thoughts on that, especially from a university where there's so much lore in the idea of the walk-on.
Yeah, I mean, I'm strongly against it. I think it's absolutely against college football, what it stands for, what it's about. I think that'll be a major problem, especially when you look at legacies of Texas A&M kids that are going to get the opportunity to play football at Texas A&M potentially taken away from them. I think that's something that's really bad for the sport.
When Sark was in here, he mentioned that for Texas, one of the exciting things about coming into the SEC was renewing some old rivalries, which you can mention.
I would imagine that would be us.
Yeah. From your perspective, your thoughts on the renewal of that rivalry this year?
Yeah, I mean, we should play them. I mean, that's just when you have two programs like that in the same state within 2 hours of each other, those two teams should play, and they should play every year, and it should mean an awful lot, and it does, and it will. And I think it'll be really cool this year getting that rivalry back going, and awesome that we have it at Kyle Field. That'll be an amazing atmosphere.
Mike, what do you remember about facing his offenses when he was at Alabama? He talked about your defenses at A&M.
Gosh, they were really talented. I remember that. He was there at a time when they had a lot of really talented players. He obviously does a great job schematically. I think you've seen that over the years with him, and a lot of respect for the job he does on offense. And has always done a really good job of finding ways to create explosives for his players and put them in great situations. And so, yeah, that'll be a big challenge for sure.
One of the other topics is the availability reports. With any rule, there's a way to game the system or cheat the system. How do you see that playing out? Do you see people trying to take advantage of things, and how do you solve that from it being an issue?
Yeah, I guess this is my chance to say this publicly. I think we need to figure out how we're going to enforce rules. I think we do a lot of putting rules in place. Until we figure out actually how we're enforcing the rules that we put in place, it's hard to even know what people will do. Like everything, I'm sure people will try to find a way to skate the system, and depending on what the enforcement of the rules looks like, we try to model a lot after the NFL, but one of the things that the NFL has is a very strong enforcement system for people who don't follow the rules, and so I think that would be probably a good starting point.
Are you in favor of it though, availability reports?
I mean, it doesn't matter to me. It really doesn't. I mean, I think it's anything we can do. I think there's a real problem with gambling and how that's potentially going to continue to creep in. And now that our players are dealing with having money at a much younger age and having to deal with all of the ins and outs that come along with that, I think anything that we can do to protect them from some of the pitfalls that come, and gambling certainly being one of them. If it's something that really helps, I certainly would be all for it. But
Mike, when you took over Texas A&M, was there ever a chance that Riley Leonard would come along with you?
No, I don't think so. I think, obviously, listen, I got a ton of respect for Riley. I would love to have been able to bring him wherever I went. He's obviously a main reason why I'm at Texas A&M, which I think is what makes that first game really unique. But I think very quickly when we did a roster dive, we realized we had Connor Weekman, and He was a kid that we had recruited when I was there, and certainly had a lot of familiarity with. And he was kind of the guy at Texas A&M, and so I just think it made it a bad fit really quick. And so, not to be disrespected to Riley or anything, I just think we had our guy in Connor, and that's the route we went.
Another one of your former players, Graham Martin, is drafted first round a couple weeks ago. What made him so special for you all?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, just the intangibles. I mean, I think his work ethic, his ability and desire to get better, where he was when we took that program over, and just watching him become what he became by the end, I think was really impressive and amazing. And then I think he's got such versatility across the offensive line, right? His ability to play multiple positions. And I think when you talk about an NFL offensive line where they have 7, maybe 8 guys dressed, he's a rare one who can play literally every position across the front. And so I think when you put it all together, I think it was a tremendous value for people for sure.
We've hit a few of the highlights, but what are some of the conversations you're hoping to have this week and the first run here?
Oh, I don't have many hopes for conversations. I just hope it goes smooth.
Benny Diaz has been very complimentary of you and the foundation that you've had in place at Duke, and he said it's been so much easier to build off of that since he's been there. I guess take me back through the process there at Duke and setting that foundation and where you left it.
Yeah, I think, I would be remiss to not say I was very fortunate to take over what Coach Cutcliffe had put together, and I'm sure what he had inherited 12 years before I got there was not very good. And so, what we found was a group of kids that maybe had gone through a really difficult spell through COVID, through some losing seasons, but certainly had tremendous character and tremendous locker room culture that we could put together. And so I think as we started to build that thing, I think we were able to just maybe take it some different directions from a football standpoint and kind of just reinvigorate some life into the program. But certainly a very strong foundation that was laid down by Coach Cut at the time he was there too.
Along those lines, what kind of foundation did you inherit at Texas A&M?
I think we've got the base to be something really, really special. I think there's a lot of talented players in that locker room. I think there's a lot of talented players that are not really excited about the way the last 2 years have gone. I think that's always a good recipe for getting kids' attention. I think when you can very clearly point out where they're not getting the results that they want, I think that gives them the opportunity and the need and desire to want to hear ways to do it better. And so we've been able to do that. I think that's what's helped get some buy-in to the culture we've tried to bring into it.
Mike, you talked to Houston, apparently, my understanding, you told them that the blocking and the offensive line will be better, and just what is the basis that you were able to have confidence that y'all made so much progress there?
I don't think I've said we made a lot of progress there, but just I think that the concept of being a year better, I think, really confident with Adam Cushion. I think he's the best offensive line coach in the country. I think the job he's done with those guys has been great. I think we've been able to add some pieces to it. And I think those guys are very prideful. I don't think they're very excited about the reputation they have in the Texas A&M community for last year. And so I think they're very hungry to change that narrative.
Coach, you start right out of the gate with game day, big spotlight, and just right out of the gate. I mean, it's certainly a build-up, but right out of the gate, you get a big test.
Yeah, so it's interesting. We went through this a little bit last year. Obviously, a different perspective on our end going against Clemson in the opener, but that was a huge national spotlight for Duke, and that was something that we were dealing with for the first time. And so I think maybe prepared a little bit. And I think some of the benefits of it you see really quickly. One, obviously getting the kids' attention. I think as you go through these dog days of summer, and kids naturally tend to lose focus a little bit. When you have a big matchup like that in your opener, and you've got a spot like that in your opener, it's really easy to draw them back and get them kind of locked into what you need to get done. And so I think it helps from that perspective. I think it helps with your preparation in camp. I think the kids are really excited for what's coming. I think they know they can't waste days, as opposed to I've been the other way where the big game is week 3 or week 4, and maybe they know they've got a little bit of a lead into the season. It's a little bit harder to keep them focused at the level you always want to. And so there's some benefits to it.
Is there any thought, maybe preparation scheme-wise, because there is an expanded playoff, does it change how you attack? I know you want to win every game. Everybody wants to win every game. But in terms of getting into the playoff, it is easier. There's more teams to get into the playoffs, scheme-wise, Coach. Does that change anything from how many guys you're playing?
No, I don't think so. I still think the margins, like if you look at what it means to get into, what is essentially, either winning the SEC or being in the top 2 to 3 teams, maybe 4 if we're lucky, of the SEC, like that's not 7-5 football, and so I think what you have to do week in and week out is still different. I think people are, the NFL playoff model is a little bit different, right? 9-7, sometimes 8-8 get you in, and whatever that looks like on 17 games now. But that's not the college model. I mean, you're still looking at 10-2 teams probably being on the outside looking in, if all breaks right. And so, no, I don't think you change a whole lot.
For one more.
Mike Sark was in here a little while ago talking about how in a world of realignment, it's good that they're gaining back Texas A&M as a rival. I'm curious for your thoughts on that. Realignment world, just about the opportunity of playing a traditional rival in Texas again.
Gotcha. Similar to what I said earlier when that same question was asked, but I think that's okay. Yeah, just excited that they're back in the league. I think when you have 2 big brands like that in the state of Texas, it's great for the 2 of them to play. I think that's a game that means an awful lot to our fan base and their fan base, and so I think it'll be a pretty good opportunity.
All right, Coach. Thanks.
Thanks.